Hey there, this is Daniel Lee from First Time Leadership. How's everyone today? Today is day 4 of the First Time Leadership book official launch. And in day 1, we had my co-author Avi Liman join us. Day 2, we had one of the leaders, Cynthia Chua. Day 3, yesterday, I had 2 guests, Roland Tang and Guy Richard to join in with us. And so today in day 4, I have a very special guest. This guest who's based not in Singapore, was someone that we reached out over LinkedIn to, as in my co-author and I, Avi, we reached out to him and to ask if he would be interested to be part of this research. And we were very pleased when he said yes. And one thing that I want to let you know about this guest that I'm going to bring on is that despite his relatively young age, he has scaled at senior or even at the highest levels of leadership in some major corporations in this particular region, in this part of the world that we live in. But without much further ado, I want to bring him on, Fabian Wandt, so that you can see it for himself. Hey, Fabian, how are you?
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for the great introduction. It's really an honor to be here. Doing well. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, Fabian, thank you very much for being here. Let's just start off with with you sharing one thing about yourself that you think other people should know.
Sure. I actually would like to share two things. I think the first thing is a strong leader needs a strong support. And I need to admit, I've been blessed over the last years to have a wonderful girlfriend and 3 dogs who always help me to go through difficult times by cheering me up. On the other hand, I would say one of the reasons why I'm here today and I'm showing that I have done a great success in leadership is for me to not accept no as an answer. I always have been focusing on the underlying why, to understand the concerns and problems, to be able to tackle it and to develop the right action.
I like how you said that a strong leader needs to have a strong team behind. Yeah, yes. and that is something that is very true. I wanted to find out from you when my co-author Avi and I first approached you about the book. What we usually do is we will send you a nice a profile sheet that sort of explains to you what the first time leadership research is all about, and you agreed to be part of that research. What made you decide to be part of the research and to share your experiences with us?
Sure. I mean, as you mentioned, I'm also a first-time leader. So obviously, I have been going through these experiences. I've been going through the difficult times. And I was really interested and curious to learn more about first-time leadership, how others have perceived the challenges, what others put in place to overcome the concerns and the worries of a leader. And on the other side, I think Daniel and you and Avi are great persons. I mean, I really like the topic, and I was really happy that you reached out to me so that I'm able to contribute to the overall pick. And looking at it now, I mean, honestly, we started a couple of years ago, our first conversation. I would have never imagined that a couple of years later, first of all, you have published an amazing book. And secondly, I'm inspiring one of the chapters, which is chapter 12. I'm really happy and proud about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I actually shared this with you, and I may have. I remember asking myself this question because when we interviewed you, it was probably close to, it was interviewing 90 plus, probably around 100 plus, and I was asking myself this one question: were there leaders who would ask themselves why others should follow them? And so when I remember when I was interviewing you, I had that question in my head, and the question of, Fabian, do you ask yourself why others should follow you? Wasn't something that I had pre-planned, but I thought the interview was going so well that hey, that I was going to ask you that question, and I'm really pleased because it turns out you did. So I guess one thing I want to ask is, what made you decide to ask yourself, why should others follow me?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as you mentioned before already, I'm still a young leader, right? So I don't can present a team excessive experience with projects or in other industries, right? So I had to find a way to let the team look up to me and also develop the trust and follow me at the end of the day, right?
Mm.
So that's why I started to think about and reflect myself and start reading about it and learning more about it. What drives a person to follow someone else, right? And I think this started to really drive my attention and really take it to my heart. And I started to really learn a lot from books, from online learning, from my mentors back then as well. And I really tried this out in the day to day to kind of see how people are reacting by applying different styles. And I think at the end of the day, what I've always been told by my team and what I have seen as well, there were difficult periods
Yeah.
and dark times, I would say, where people were concerned about the future. However, having someone where you follow and where you have trust make things easy.
Yeah, and that's very true. Um, I remember one leader was sharing with me that he that when he finds that the team is not positive, or the team mood isn't very confident, that he needs to be a little bit more positive, more confident, so that the team spirit can so that the team can almost feed off his positive energy, feed off his confidence, and then they themselves are lifted. That said, though, I remember something that you shared with me, which is that uh, you know, I mean, your background is that you have reached the very senior ranks of leadership for some pretty large organizations. I mean, we're talking like thousands of people in in those organizations that you've worked in. And I'm sure that while you are out there projecting confidence to the people that you lead, with it inside of you, you must have still had your fears and your concerns, but you need to put up this this face. You need to put up an image that you are fearless. I mean, so could you share a little bit, what's going on in your mind? Why should a leader put on this image of confidence and being fearless, even if deep inside, they are concerned and maybe a little bit scared?
Yes, I mean, as you said, right? So in my role for one of the top e-commerce company in Southeast Asia, I think when we started a new industry, right? We came here, we started the online shopping experience for the consumers on the market. And almost everything we did was new to me, was new to my team, and also to our customers and partners. Right. So I recall myself often not being able to show my concerns, as you mentioned. I had to be the one who needed to show and demonstrate confidence so that
Yeah.
people follow you. You had to motivate the team members so that they can go beyond their own capabilities. And at the end of the day, I have to help them to navigate through these challenges. But honestly, as you said, I had often the same concerns. However, for me, what I started to deploy or develop was following certain principles, which also
Mm.
allowed me to build my confidence. And the principles were, first of all, we are one team. Every one of these team members has responsibilities and has accountabilities. The second thing is, whenever there is a topic or a project or a problem to work on, it's important to analyze, to be sure to have a full understanding about what is happening, what are the surrounding impacts on this problem, and ensure that everyone has a clear understanding about what are the goals and objectives. I think that's important to enable the team to really participate in what we want to achieve.
Mm.
And then on top of this, it is important to also look beyond the actions and look at the potential consequences. I think every action you plan to trigger has a consequence. Can be positive, can be negative. And for all the potentially negative consequences, it's important to develop backup plans. The more backup plans you have, the easier it is to overcome difficult challenges.
Yeah.
And I would say, last but not least, for me, what I always did was listening to the thoughts and the concerns of my team members. Because when I understood what they are concerned about, I can address it. I can talk with them. I can share them more knowledge, which then at the end of the day allows them to become more confident in what they're doing.
Yeah, and so it's pretty much while you can, while as a leader and while you can be directing the team in a to go in this direction, while you may have this vision and you're trying to bring people there, you're still having an ongoing conversation with them. You're still consulting them. You're getting their inputs so that you can make the best decision based on the available information that you have at the time. And it sounds like this conversation is always happening because even as you're going along the journey, people may have concerns, and then you want to be able to address those concerns, like you said, so that they can feel, so that the team can continue to feel confident.
Yes, that's right. I mean, concerns can develop over time while people don't have concerns at the beginning. However, along the process, along the implementation, people start to worry. So I think, as you said, it's important to not just do this at the beginning, but do this every day throughout the time and stay in contact with your team. I mean, these concerns are valid. And often managers or leaders don't necessarily see all these concerns. So I think involving the team, listening to the concerns they have, discuss it excessively so that really everyone has the right understanding and develops a confidence in what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think this does raise up a pretty good point, because when I work with some leaders, sometimes they sometimes when I ask them, hey, do you understand the direction that your team members want to go, and they will come back and say, not really. So when I clarify, I realize the leader thinks that the team wants to go in a certain direction, but I wanted to reinforce what you said, that you need to have an ongoing conversation, ongoing dialogue to get feedback from your team, because you as the leader, you may be thinking that the team wants to go in a particular direction, but actually the team wants to go somewhere else. And one of the things that a lot of leaders that I work with fail to do, or they're not doing enough, is just, like you said, having that ongoing conversation all the time. Yeah. And by the way, Din, now this, unfortunately, this is a Vietnamese name. I'm not sure how I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Din Ho, DINH. Yeah, Din Ho just drop by to say hi. Hey, hi Fabian, nice to hear you speaking.
Thank you, Din.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the findings that we have, that my co-author and I have come across, and I want to just get your response to this. And by the way, we have a couple of audience members here. If you haven't said hi, do say hi. And you have any questions for Fabian, just put it into the comments section of either LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube where you're watching, and we will be able to see it, and I can ask those questions directly to Fabian. Fabian, by the way, can't really see the questions, but I can. So if you want to say hi or have any questions for Fabian, just drop it into the comments below. Oh, Din was just saying, so he's watching. Hey, Din, he's saying that Din says, listen to what employees really concerned about and find the right solution is what I want to see in every leader. Yeah, so Din's
I agree. I agree with Din on that point. I think both on the same side. I think it's important to have a close relationship to your team, be open in sharing, receive feedbacks. I think feedbacks are there to help everyone to improve, also as a leader, but also for the team members. Yes.
Yeah, and we have Van An Nguyen. He says, hello, Fabian. So Van, I hope, like I said, I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. And then we have Thang Nguyen, THANG Nguyen. He says he remember about mega campaigns 11/11 in 2019. He said when I worked at Tan Bin Warehouse to support 3PLs to clear their backlog, Fabian came with a cup of coffee, encouraged me to fight. Yeah,
That's right. That's the way it
sounds
is. Yes.
sounds like a rather interesting story, Fabian. Do you want to just expand a little bit about this?
Sure. I mean, yes. I mean, as you know, we have worked for e-commerce companies in Southeast Asia, right? And we started the habits of the mega campaigns, 11/11, single day, following what Alibaba did. We had 10/10, 12/12. And obviously, all of these days were, I would say, a black box. We were having forecasts on how many volumes we expect. Usually these days are 10 to 20 times more than the daily volumes. So at the end of the day, we had to think it through. We had to discuss concerns, and we had to always work as one team. Because even though you have been planning everything until the last minute, usually something happens. I remember we were preparing for our campaign. We were in the mid of the campaign, and suddenly electricity was cut down. So even the backup generator didn't work properly. So we have been working for months for this day, and on the main day, suddenly we're facing these issues. But I think important what I learned during these days is to keep a cool head, keep a cool mind, because the problem won't be solved if you are stressed or something. Sit together with the team, discuss the points, decide a plan together, share accountabilities, assign accountabilities, and then move ahead and work together and help each other. I think that's what we really developed as a strong team, and which helped us to really excellence also these campaigns, despite some of the challenges we had, such as power cuts or some of our transportation partners were overloaded. I think there were problems, but that's life. And at the end of the day, for every problem, there are some solutions to address it.
Yeah. I like what you said about, it's like coming back to this principle that you shared, which is this whole one team thing. Yeah. And I like how you said that you just kept calm and you worked with the team to come up with a solution, because it's so true. Back to that example that we talked about earlier, how the team is feeding off your energy. So as the leader, if you are keeping calm in a challenging situation, then the team is going to follow your example. And that's why I think it's so important that the leader recognizes that they are a role model for everyone around them, and how the words they use, the actions they take, the decisions that they make is going to have that impact on the people who are following the leader.
Yes, that's right.
Right, yes. So let's talk about some of the findings here. And for this particular part, I just want to be able to say that it's more about your thoughts and whatnot. Dean just came back with a response. So just before we go into the finding section, so Dean said, haha, I remember when newly joined, I did totally wrong forecast. Then I scared bosses to blame, but no one blamed me. That made me feel safe and can improve after.
Yes. I think blaming doesn't help necessarily. Looking beyond the problem, first of all, tackling it, and then later on clearly understand why it happened and prevent it from happening again. I think it's also our responsibility as leaders to ensure the team has the right data, the right information to do their jobs. So whenever a problem happened, I think the first thing I looked at was what could I have done better? Was it related to me? How can I support the team better? I think that's usually the case. Often it was related to not having enough information or not enough data points, for example. And I think that's our learnings, failures we are going through, and which make us stronger at the end of the day. So I think blaming doesn't make sense because mistakes are human.
Hey, I got a question from Van An Nguyen. So he's asking, what is the great, I think what he's trying to say is, what is the greatest experience you have in LEL? And how can you do it successfully? So maybe we'll start with the first part, like what is the greatest experience you have in LEL? What is LEL? Is that Lazada?
Stands for Lazada e-Logistics. Yes, this was the name.
Okay.
The logistics
Yeah.
company of Lazada. I would say, I think the best ever was the team. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, we are a tech logistics company and we have technology to support our operations and our activities. But at the end of the day, it's the team, right? I mean, you need to have a great team to enjoy working, to develop the passion, to make the impossible possible. And I would say, really, for me, was being close to the team on one side, not just seeing them as colleagues, but also seeing them as friends. We have done a lot of things outside work, such as holidays together, sport activities together, which helped us to form a stronger bond at the end of the day. And at the end, it is all about how people follow you, how people trust you, right? And yes, we had a difficult time for the company. We had massive growth year on year and a lot of challenges we never foresee we would be able to solve them. But given the fact that we were one great team, we were trusting each other, everyone were openly talking about their strengths and weaknesses and gave each other feedbacks, which helped everyone to grow. And I think that I would say I'm the most proud about, and also helped me at the end of the day to develop the company to a success. I mean, I'm just a person. I'm just one person. Only my skills would have not brought the company to the level where it is right now. It is the team which made me strong at the end of the day. And that's what I've been always focusing on, having a happy team, which is synchronized, which works in a harmony together. Yes, there are arguments, there are disputes, but it is important to solve them, to talk about it, listen to others, and then find an alignment according to the arguments and move forward.
Yeah, and it once again really brings me back to what you said earlier about this whole idea of a one team mindset, and it sounds like you had a wonderful one team experience, and it only happened because you were putting in the effort, you were making the effort to build the relationships, to build the bonds, to actually have develop trust between people. So things like that don't just happen on its own. You have to be proactive to make it happen. Is Would it be fair to say that?
No, for sure. I mean, for sure. I think there's some days where I would say we have to do. I mean, we would have liked to do other things, which are maybe greater. I would like to go on holidays or something. But at the end of the day, we have responsibilities as leaders, right? We have to be consistent in what we're doing, and we have to care for our team, and we have to show this caring, right? And caring can mean different things. Listening can help people to grow. I did a lot of mentoring for my team members because I knew 10 years before I had the same challenges, I had the same weak skills, and I learned it over years how to sharpen these skills. And I thought, why not giving these capabilities I have developed to also my team members and helping them to grow? I think it's like a family in certain ways. It makes you proud to see someone from a young age or from a young skill set to grow to certain leadership levels in your team, see how the person adapts to what you have mentored the person, and then really seeing the person to be successful. And I think this is the same as a family, seeing your kid growing, going through the different phases in life, and yes, being there to help them and to advise them, to guide them through the difficult times. But I always find it important is to let people do it on their own. Whenever someone came to me and told me I have a problem, I would have said, good, great, what is the problem? What is your solution you are considering? I don't want the people to come to me to solve their problems, but I want to interact with people and start picking their brain to kind of think about it, because they are the executor of the process or of the owner of this process at the end of the day. So if they don't have the right idea, then something is wrong. So it's important to listen to people, let them speak up, and then talk about their idea and see how we can make it even better. And next time you will see the person comes with an even better idea. So every time there is a problem or there is a challenge, people are growing with these challenges and know better and being better equipped to change, to overcome these challenges.
Yeah, we got a comment from my Trin, Trinh. Like I said, hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. She said, "Hi, Fabian and Daniel. Nice to be joining you in this live stream. I'm Mai. It is very interesting to listen to your sharing about first-time leadership. As a leader at a young age, also, I usually receive questions from people on how I can manage the team. in other words, how to make people believe in you when you are much younger than them. So I would like to ask for some of your advice on how to answer such questions. So I think my question is, how do you get older? I mean, when you are a young leader, how do you get when you are a young leader and you're managing older team members, how do you get the older team members to believe, to trust you? Fabian, you.
Yes, I think it's a really good question. Thank you, Mai. I would say it has something to do, as you mentioned before, about being a role model, right? I'm not here to tell the person who has 30 years more experience in work that I'm better than them. And usually I was straightforward to people who were more senior than myself. And I said, okay, listen, I'm not the person who will teach you about this, this, and this. I'm a leader who will help you, to listen to you. I will think about your problems. I will help you to find the right way, or I help you to bring people together, right? So it's really about role model at the end. I mean, I have been going through every single activity. There was never a reason why I would say no. I had days I slept in the warehouse with our pickers, why? Because we had backlogs. I would have never been the one who kind of goes home to let the team do it. I think it is important to be there consistently, to work closely with them. Age is just a number, right? I've known people who are far more senior but acting far more childish. I've seen younger people who have, despite short work experience, develop strong capabilities and skills, right? So I think age is really just a number at the end of the day. It's important is what you believe in, what are your values are, and how hard you work on your development. Because everything can be, I mean, becoming a leader, managing people, managing companies, activities, is skill set at the end of the day. And skill sets are able to be acquired, but it requires hard work and attention to it, and also patience, because something like this doesn't come overnight.
Yeah. So I think if we can summarize this thing for mine, I think regardless of your of age, Fabian, what you're saying is that you can be a role model, and that means you got to work on your own development, right? You got to be a better listener. You got to be someone who is there to help people move forward in the direction that they want to be moving forward. So it's not really about whether you feel young and the person is so much older or the person has more experience. It's about what can you do to help the person get closer to where they want to be.
Yes, I think on top of this, I would add on, I think it's important to identify the weaknesses, because every human has certain weaknesses. And if you, as a person, older leader, younger leader, are able to help this person on these weaknesses, to discuss it and to help him to grow, he will always appreciate it and will always look up to you and admire you in certain ways, because you have to help the person to become from a weakness to a strength.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that Avi and I might found from our research, and the first finding, and I want to get your response on this, Fabian, is that we are born, so leaders, we are born with the potential to lead, but leaders are made. So what's your thought about that? Yeah.
I fully agree. I fully agree on this finding from the first time leadership book. I mean, at the end of the day, we are all born with, I would say, as a blank paper. We all have the same capabilities, the same potential. The question is really, what do we do out of it? Yes, some people have more advantages over others because they can attend higher education schools. They learn more about leadership from mentors because they have direct access, while others don't have this access. However, I believe if you really want to, there's enough media and content where you can learn. There's online potentials. There are social networking like LinkedIn. If you have the courage to address and to reach out to strangers and just boldly ask questions, you often will see it is surprising that people are interested to help you. And on the other side, I would say, yes, everyone has the capabilities of becoming a leader, but it's important to understand not everyone wants to be a leader,
Mm.
right? There are people who
Yes.
want to become experts in a certain craft. And if everyone just wants to become a leader, how would it work? We need people who are experts in certain skills and certain crafts to do certain activities. There are also people who just want to earn money through a simple job to be able to fulfill their dreams outside work. And I think it is important to really identify this so that you can identify which of your team members are you able to groom, are you able to grow, who wants to become a leader. I think important really is have a right mentor, right? Be open to speak about your concerns because as you can see in our first time leadership book, every leader has similar concerns, similar challenges. It's not just you who is going through it for the very first time. Others have had the same situation. For me, personally, what I would say had the biggest impact on my leadership skills are three books. I think one of the books is Start With Why from Simon Sinek. I think this really helped me to identify and develop my question skill set. Identifying the right questions to drill down the problem, to drill down the topic, so that you really have a fast understanding through 6 or 7 questions about a certain topic. The second point is the second book was How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book I even converted in a class. I started to teach people back in my previous role about public speaking skills. Right? I really used what I learned in this book. I transformed it to the industry and to our situation where we are in, and I applied this to the team. And I remember a lot of people helped it to grow. And on the other side, the last book, which also had a significant impact on me, was The $1 Trillion Code from Bill Campbell. I think this really helped me also to better understand different personalities, how to approach different people, how important learning is, not only for the team, but also for us as leaders. I mean, change is the only constant. That was one of the values in my previous company. And I would say this was one of the best values I've ever seen in a company, because it's true. I mean, if we look back 10 years ago, the world was different. And even in 2 years ago, there was no COVID. Now we have COVID. So I think the world is changing, and change is really the only constant. And if we don't continue to learn, then as a leader or as a team member, then we will never be able to continue growing and stay relevant in our fast-paced industry and the transformation of the world.
Yeah. So my came back with a comment here, and she says, yeah, I also agree with you on the weakness point. So I think the point about helping people to see your weakness, how you can transform the weakness to a strength. Because if all the team members have no weaknesses, I don't think the company ever needs a leader for that team. LOL. So the job of a leader is not only to guide the team, but also to support them on their weaknesses. And in my case, I usually help my team members whenever they have a problem. Over time, they start to recognize that, hey, this kid has some skills. And then I got their acceptance as a leader, smiley face.
Well done, Mike. That's good to hear. That's a good way to approach that. And I'm happy to hear it worked out well for you.
Yeah. So to any of the audience members out there, if you're watching us, just remember, do say hi. And you have a question for Fabian, just drop it into the comment section of the platform that you're watching. We will get that message, and I will be able to shoot the question over to Fabian. So here's another finding that we got from the book, which is this: self-awareness and trust are at the core of leadership. What do you think?
That's a really, really good question. And I think it's a really good finding. I mean, for me, trust is a bit the torch in the dark, right? I mean, at the end of the day, people have concerns about everything. And trust is the key to open doors, not only as a leader, but in general in life, right? If you have trust, means people follow you through all the difficult periods. And even following you and believing you, despite they have concerns and doubts about it. So I think trust is really, really important. There are many situations in work where people are receiving information wrongly, rumors are starting to spread, and it's important to have people to trust you that this is not true, for example, right? Because they believe in you, they believe in your values and the way you have been demonstrating your capabilities to. Self-awareness, I think it is about, if you don't know your own boundaries, and you don't know your own strengths and weaknesses, and you don't know how others perceive you, how can you influence them? You need to be aware about what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, because you also have to improve your weaknesses at the end of the day to continue growing, but also continue learning and continue growing your strengths, because as we said, change is the only constant. We have to continue learning. So yes, self-awareness and trust together combined is really the core of leadership and path the way for a successful team and a successful company.
Fabian, I want to ask you, because you have been involved in the book, and you have a copy of the book yourself, and that meant that you had the opportunity to look through and get some insights from the other leaders who have also contributed in the book. And I want to talk through some of the takeaways that you have shared with me. The first takeaway that you shared, which I found quite interesting, is this: you say, find the challenge in everything. The hardest days will make you better at your job. Could you explain a little bit about that for our audience members?
Sure. I believe many of you have heard the quote, hard work pays off. And that's something I strongly believe in. I think the more you try, the more you fail, the more you learn, the stronger you become. And at a certain point, you will succeed. It doesn't mean when you try out something for the very first time, you will succeed in it. But important is to embracing the challenge, because challenge means something new. It means you can learn something new. You have a new exciting journey ahead. And on the other side, it will make you grow. For me, for example, failure means first attempt in learning. So that's why taking a challenge, yes, it can be scary, but in general, as I said, I always say yes to a challenge, and I will figure out along the way how we're going to solve these challenges and how we overcome it. And I believe the more you do, the more you get equipped with the right skills, and the more you can achieve.
Yeah. I like what you said about fail, right? FAIL, which is first attempt in learning. Very nice, very nice. The first time I've heard of it, which sort of takes you to the second takeaway that you shared with me, which is don't be afraid to fail, because you will. And how important is that? Because it's almost like, as employees, as individual contributors, when we work in organizations, there is this view of don't make any mistakes, don't fail. You got to succeed the first time you try it. What you're saying here is, and one of the insights that you gain is that don't be afraid to fail, because you will. So maybe you can share a bit about that.
Yes. So I think this was usually my first sentence for people I interviewed. I always talked about, I want you to make failure. I want you. However, I want you to make failures in a controlled manner, right? Because we shouldn't do the failure and waste a lot of money or harm customers at the end of the day. However, but important is to make failures, because if people make failures, it leads them to reflection. And reflection at the end of the day leads to the fact that you understand clearly why you have failed. And if you clearly understand why you have failed, then you can think about it again, what can I do different to this time to achieve it? And again, the more you do, at a certain point, you will start to reach the right solution, which will start solving the problem. And you will learn so much, because you not only learn the right solution, but you also learn the other mistakes you have done, the impacts they have. So you will gain more knowledge and more experience with it. So that's why I believe, don't be afraid to fail, because you will. We are all doing new things. Technology is evolving, life is changing. There's many concerns. But important is be ready to take it and ready to fail and ready to learn.
So, so there's this saying that goes, failure is the mother of success. So, but I think we need to change this saying so that it's a failure leads to reflection, which eventually leads to success.
Exactly. That's how I see it. Exactly.
Yeah, so look, to anyone in the audience, if you got any comments about that, about how failure leads to reflection, and it's the reflection that eventually leads you to success. How do you feel about that? Leave your comments below, and we'll read it out. So let's go to the third finding. This is interesting, right? You have to learn how to work with everyone. All right, we have always come across, and I think in my much younger days, I was also guilty of not being a very easy to get along with colleague. Yeah, but I think in every single workplace, there will always be people who just seem to be very focused on themselves, and they don't make themselves easy to work with. So, what you said about having to learn how to work with everyone, that's very interesting. Could you share more about that?
Yes, sure. I mean, I strongly believe that in every work environment, you have 6, 7 different personality characters, right? I mean, as you said, you have some people who are more focused on themselves. Yeah, some people who always want to be in action, right? I mean, you have different characters in every environment. And that's what I also learned, for example, from the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is to really understand who are these individuals and what characterizes them. And once I understand what their needs are, what are their worries, I was able, obviously, to approach and work with people better. Because if it's not a stranger directly, then you will be able to approach it better. So what I used to do for that is usually observation. I think body language is a really, really important point. Most people don't know how strong and how impactful body language is, and how much it actually shows about you and your thoughts. So observation allows you to get to know people from the distance and to learn their personality in certain ways. And on the other side, it's about listening. I think being open to approach people and start speaking with them, and especially listening. I think no one wants to just listen to your sharing only. I think it's important to let people feel that I'm also interested, which I am, that I'm listening to their stories. And then I think it really allows you to work with everyone. You don't have to be friends with everyone, right? However, it is important to be, as a professional and as a constructive leader, to be able to put this aside and to really focus on understanding the people, how to work with them, and then closely work with them to achieve the mission and vision.
I think you raised up a very good point about this whole idea of listening. Sometimes, new leaders, when they're their first time leading a team, they get very excited and they want to be the one doing a lot of the talking, when in fact they should be the one who's doing more of the listening, so that then they can understand the team better rather than trying to get the team to understand them, right? You raised up a very good point here. And I think this sort of leads to the fourth takeaway that you got from the book, which is you say here, have fun and be authentic. You will enjoy your job more. Now, Could you could you share a little bit about that? Because I'm just thinking that in working with many new leaders, sometimes they struggle to be authentic, and on one hand they want to be real and be authentic. On another hand, they feel that there are certain expectations that a leader should behave this way, should talk this way, should be doing this, should be making decisions in a certain manner. So how do you balance between being authentic and being a leader so that you can have fun being a leader?
I think, first of all, I think the fun comes really from the people you work with, right? So I was been incredible proud to have a team which is talented, is willing to grow, and has this winning mindset as one team. I think this definitely brought a lot of joy and passion to my job, right? On the other side, I would say being authentic, there's no right or wrong. I think important is stay true to yourself, right? Because if I'm a leader and I'm being put in front of situations where I'm not feeling comfortable, for example, because sometimes decisions a leader has to take are not always comfortable for the leader itself, right? But being in an uncomfortable situation and not feeling well in my own skin, right? For example, the way I'm dressed, I'm not a person, as an example, who would wear a suit. I remember many, many days where I went to important meetings, conferences, where everyone was suited up, and I came with jeans, sneakers, and a white T-shirt. Right? Because I always believe that people should look up to me, not the way I present myself, but the way who I am and what I have done. Right? The talents, the skills we have, etc. I believe that's better. I know there are industries where presents, the way you look is important because it mirrors your customer. So definitely you have to sometimes balance between between the industries and the authenticity, your own behavior and your own personality. But important is stay true to your own values, stay true to your own belief, right? And feel comfortable in what you're doing. And then automatically, once you enjoy it, you start to develop the passion and the fun for it. So it is a fundament of having the fun at what you're doing and enjoying the job.
Yeah. So, Dean just came back and he said, I think this is in response to the second takeaway about, don't be afraid to fail because you will. So Dean Ho is saying failure is good, but avoid the same mistakes happening again.
This was a typical thing I said. If you do a mistake twice, so doing mistake once is okay. Doing mistake twice is stupid. So simple statement. You can do the first mistake, no problem. Reflect, but never do it again. Then I would be angry.
Yeah. So we're going to come towards the end. And to anyone who's watching, if you have any comments, if you haven't said hi, you got any questions that you want to get Fabian to answer, this is the chance to do it because we're going to finish up in the next couple of minutes. So, Fabian, let's bring this towards a close because I've really enjoyed this conversation, and we originally set for about 45 minutes, and I think with a couple of your ex-colleagues have come to you and they've thrown us a couple of questions, and that's been really enjoyable. Considering that this whole conversation has really been for the first-time leader and it's about first-time leadership, what words of advice would you give to the first-time leader out there?
Yes. I think every first-time leader is going through the same challenges and concerns. Just don't believe it's just you at the end of the day. You're never ready to be a leader. You always have, the world is changing, the skill set are requiring is changing. I think important is embrace the challenge. Embrace it and let it come to you so that you can grow with these challenges, right? And develop being open. I think it's important to share your concerns and your worries because once you speak with people about it, in my case, I often spoke with my girlfriend and with my mentors, for example, about it, to hear their thoughts. And when I heard from them, they had similar concerns or they had an advice to go through it, it helped me. So be open, receive feedback, speak openly about your problems, about your worries with other people, develop a relationship to a mentor, to a friend, to someone more senior, for example, who you trust, because just talking about a problem already releases stress from you.
I cannot agree more. Just talking about a problem, what you shared is so true. Being a leader is not just about you, right? You have to grow as a leader as part of a community, and that makes that leadership journey so much more rewarding, and it makes it a lot easier to go through. Well, right. Fabian, just want to say thank you very much for your time. I want to thank you once again for being part of the first time leadership journey. You have such a wealth of experience that I sometimes think that should I write another book about leadership? I should come back and ask if you're interested to be part of that research as well.
I will definitely accept your second interview request, so no worries about that, Daniel. So I really appreciate also for having me here today, Daniel. It was really interesting to have this conversation with you. Also really happy to see the audience so interested in sharing questions about it. I'm looking forward once the lockdown is done in Vietnam that I can meet some of my previous team members again and enjoy moments together again.
Yeah. Oh, just got one very last comment before we go. Okay. There's a comment from Robert Boltz. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Robert. Really sorry. I'm not sure how to pronounce the surname. Really sorry about that. But Robert, just wanted to say that what you shared was very insightful and educative and also inspiring.
Happy to hear that. Thank you very much for the comment.
So, all right. So that's pretty much it, everybody. I'm Daniel Lee from First Time Leadership. Want to once again thank my guest, Fabian Wandt. Just want to let all you know that as part of this official launch, we do have a coupon code launch that will allow you to get a few dollars off the book. And all you need to do is to go to firsttimeleadership.com, click on that book menu, and you can use the coupon code launch and get a couple of dollars off. So once again, Fabian, thank you very much. I look forward to speaking with you again really soon.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.